Hey there, folks. So, last episode we ended it off with me having issues getting the bite collision to correctly attach to the socket. I did some digging, and the issue there is I was calling the setup information on the wrong constructor. Now, this is for anyone who's not overly familiar. There's technically two constructors when it comes to using C++. There is our class constructor, which is this one here. That is called with like engine startup and things like that. And then you have your construction script, which is something that the editor uses, and it's done when an entity is constructed and used. And that's where I had messed this up. I was calling everything here, as you can see, on the class constructor and not part of the construction script process. Excuse me. And you can see here now I've put that in the construction script process where we're getting it attached. And if we take a look at our deer, you can see I've added set up melee collision. There's nothing there. And that is because in here you can see we've got some logic in place. Now, there's a few things that we're going to need to do in addition because of how we're going to have to implement this. So, what we're going to do, first of all, I'm going to break both of these from the construction scripts because the code change we're going to do, these will cause some really big problems. It'll cause a cyclical loop. Excuse me. Close out of those, make sure those are both saved, and it's saying one thing isn't saved. What's that? DevWolf, please. Oh, yeah, I want to save that. So we're going to close out of the editor. I'm going to get rid of this here, and we have an onConstruction function that we can call within code that is the same as that construction script within Blueprints. And if we take a look at, we're going to go a ways back here to my randomized actor. Wait for Visual Studio to catch up. There we go. It's this one here. It's a void on construction override, and it's a protected function. So if we go into our NPC character, into our protected, and we just throw that in there. And then we do create a quick definition for that. And at this point it's going to take forever, but so what this is doing is that very first initial node in the construction script that you drag everything off of, that's technically what this is. And Visual Studio doesn't want to perform at all. Oh, is Windows Defender on? Nope. Okay, well, I'm going to pause the recording and I will be back once Visual Studio has decided to work. Alright, so Visual Studio has decided to start responding again, but it's not letting me create definition. Well, we can do that easy enough. Let's create it ourselves. So, like, I don't know what's going on here. As you can see, it's IntelliSense is being weird. I've had a lot of problems with it the last little while, but I think this partly because I'm running 5.5, don't have the Visual Studio integration plugin and things like that. So it's causing some oddities. So I'm not going to blame that on the engine. I'm not going to blame that on Visual Studio. I'm just going to say it's a byproduct of me jumping forward in version before 5.5 is ready for public release. So now that we've got this on construction added, what we want to do is add setup melee collision. The problem is doing this, we have no way of overriding these two bits of information. So we can't change the scale, we can't change the location. So what we're going to want to do there is actually add those in as new variables. So I'm going to, are we in NPC character? Yeah, byte trigger. So I'm going to copy, actually before I copy, in here, apparently I didn't mute my phone. Let me just deal with this. All right, sorry about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to expand these categories and fix these so that they're in subcategories. So these are going to be in the byte. And then it's F vector byte scale equals F vector not 0.5. We'll just start with that. And then are both vectors we're using? Yes. Vector byte location offset equals F vector. We're just going to say that's 0. So what we've done there is we now have byte scale and byte location offset. And we're going to want to use these here. So relative 3D scale, so byte scale. If I could spell, what did I call it? Oh, that would be why I couldn't spell scale properly. Byte scale and byte location offset. And what that's going to do is that's going to missed the void in the front there. So anyway, back to, now I've fixed my typo down there because IntelliSense isn't working. So what this is going to do is allow us to change these within the blueprint for our creature. Now, there is one other thing I would like to do. Like, this right here should be everything we need. But what I want to do is right at the top here, because I believe these go into, like, these are the order they're displayed in the details panel. So it would be in this order. I've added this Boolean in for B has byte attack because I want to add that in as a additional check. Because if it has a byte attack, well, sorry, if it doesn't have a byte attack, but we do have the byte trigger, we're going to destroy it. If it has a byte attack, the byte trigger is valid, and we have the socket. So now that we've got that, we're going to launch into the editor. Now this is going to take a moment more than likely because of the issues I had with Visual Studio. So I'm going to pause and I will be back once we are in the editor, and hopefully this is all working for us. Alright, so we are in the editor, but as you can see we're actually looking at Visual Studio. What I did while that was launching up is I just quickly threw a breakpoint here because I wanted to step through this so everyone could see. So B has byte attack. Step in. If byte trigger is valid, we're going to destroy the component. Continue. We should see this twice because we have our deer and our wolf in the scene. All right, continue. Now this is where, and I did this on purpose because we're going to open up our wolf blueprint, and it now, once we go into the full, come on, open up full blueprint editor, continue through that. Now you're going to see on the left, when we go to the viewport, continue. Oh, I hate how it does that. There's no byte trigger. If we go to our attack section, wherever it is, byte has byte, it's still going to fail because the byte trigger isn't valid. That's something I wanted to point out because that setting has changed after we've already destroyed it. And this is why I wanted to do that. So we're going to hit continue. What we want to do here is compile and save. Breakpoint. Oh, that is regarding the, I know what that is. That is the collisions. So we've saved that though. We're going to close out of this. We are going to close out of the editor. And yeah, this error that was thrown here is because we added the, we've got these two. So we're going to relaunch quickly. And this should launch pretty quick because we're not actually building anything. And this time around, if I put a breakpoint here, we should actually fall into this once we get into the editor. So, all right, so you can see we are inside that. We're now setting these. Get rid of that breakpoint. And now when we open up our Wolf blueprint, I remove the breakpoint because it's going to hit multiple times because every time we do anything in here. But go to our viewport, you can see we have the sphere there. Now we go to our attack section, our byte. If we change this to, actually, let's just say 1. You can see that has scaled up. I should probably put that as a float. And we can adjust the location here. Let's change that to a 10. I believe it's 10. I want this to be a 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. And I think it was 10.10 I wanted to use. No, 10.5. Was it 15.5? There we go. So now we have our byte collision sphere, and it has its on dynamic attack. So if we're going to compile and save this, we're going to select our wolf here and find our attack section. Oh, what did we put that under? Oh, we added it to byte. That should be, no, that is right, byte target actor. So it is there. Byte target actor is none. Let's simulate. Oh, what broke here? Something is breaking. Oh, okay, here you go. You can see we have the deer is in there. Now there's obviously something weird going on because we had some exceptions thrown. That could just be some oddities with how this was done. I'm going to need to dig into that a little more. But so you can see right here, we are now attacking, and let's grab that. We'll move him away, and you can see it drops out, comes back, drops out, comes back. Do that, disappears, comes back. All right, so we have that. Now I'm just going to open up the animation quickly. Where is it? Forest animal pack, wolf, mesh. No, animations. Sorry, byte. So we've set up the apply damage notification. And that is when we feel the attack should be applying damage. And I personally feel maybe there. Honestly, this is something you can fine tune. But if we go into our NMBP Wolf, TF character, we want to have a function that we're going to call to apply damage to target. So now that we have all of this set up, I'm going to close out, and everything is saved. Close out of the editor. and we want to add that function in so that we can actually now apply damage. I want to handle this in a very similar way to how we did attack completed. So we go to definition. We set up a TF character attack complete if it is this, so on and so forth. So new function, U function void apply melee damage. Now this one, it is a public function. We have it blueprint callable. What I'm going to do here, because this is just a TF character, this is our base class, we don't want to do anything here. And I believe it's virtual void. Now in the NPC character, we're going to have void apply melee damage override. Are you going to tell me it doesn't override anything? Nope, we're good there. Okay, so this is where we would go through and do things like, okay, if is valid byte target actor, we would then call the apply, comment that, was it take damage? Yes. Take damage, damage amount, damage event, things like that. So we need to add in the, actually, byte target actor take damage. I'm just going to put in, say, 10. I believe that's all I need, or does it require the other ones? Too few. Okay, what do you need? F damage event. Let's create these F damage. It's been a while since I've worked with these. Damage event. So I'm sitting here in silence just trying to read over this. So instead of sitting here in silence, I'll be back once I've read over and refreshed myself on this. Alright, so just a little digging around there. I realized my issue was I was missing the include for damage type. Damage events. So here we have added that in. Include engine / damage events.h. And we're just passing this in. Now we obviously need to change this variable. We'll change this to a variable. What we'll do with that is we're going to add that up here. Float byte attack damage. I'm going to say 25 for this. And actually, we want that as an edit defaults only. Copy that so we don't have a typo, and we're going to pass that in as well. Now this is all well and good, but we don't actually have a take damage event defined on any of our characters, be it the player or the NPCs. However, pretty easy to do. So we're going to go to our TF character header file here. And then it's is that a void, I believe? You're a void, right? Oh, no, float. Sorry, float take damage. Okay, let's actually go to definition. I'm going to copy all of this. So in our character, TF character header, it's float take damage, and that's an override. Now we want this on the character because this same thing is going to be applied to all NPCs and the player. So and again, Visual Studio doesn't want to create a definition. So again, I'm going to pause the recording and I'll be back once this is working. Alright, so I just had to leave it sit for like 20 minutes to get it to actually do anything there, but it did finally create the definition for us. So with that, we do have a few things to take into consideration. I do plan on ultimately having, well, I hope to have location-based damage. So like you can attack legs, arms, torso, head, things like that. But that is fairly complex. And that's beyond something I would want to do, at least for like the initial iteration of the game, just because of how complex that is. So what I want to do here is we're just going to do a fairly basic setup there. So it's going to be stat line, adjust stat. It is going to be E core stat health, and it's just going to be damage. And then what we want to do there is to do add in death check logic. Make sure those are capitalized so it shows up properly. So now we have this in. That should be everything we need to at least, well, effectively kill off the deer NPC. Now, obviously, there is other things we need to do. And it's simply going to be something we expand on in the next episode. This is already sitting at the 22-minute mark, minus whatever I can cut out. But what we will be doing next is going to be things like we're going to check, okay, are we dead? That's actually something we probably want to... Oh, no, we have here. We can do that through... where do we have an error? Oh, duh. Return 0. So this return value, that is for if you need logic that has like, oh, I have leftover damage. So let's say, for example, you're doing a fantasy game, you've got like a chain lightning spell, and it does 100 damage total. The first thing it hits takes 50 damage. Well, there's going to be 50, and then dies. There's going to be 50 damage left over. So that's why this needs a return value. However, in this example, I have 0 concern as to if I need to worry about carryover damage for this, because we're specifically saying this character absorbed all of the damage that it took. It may have been more than its health, but it doesn't matter. There's nothing we need to carry over to anything else, because I'm not worried about things like splash damage or things like that, because for myself, I do want to implement explosives. For things like splash damage from explosives, it's not going to be, it carries on from character to character. So I don't need to worry about that. That'll be a radial effect. It's like how far away are they from the center, if they're with, like, versus the extreme edge and so on and so forth. That'll probably be a float curve that's used there. But as it stands right now, this setup should get it to the point where our deer ultimately dies. Is dead, return nearly equal to 0 within, I think that was 1%, 10%, 1%, half a percent. Yeah, I think that's good. Within half a percent. So, as I've mentioned before, though, this is something that I probably should make it define so that it's we can use it universal. But because this is all at the base character class, I don't think we need to worry about that. So, is character dead? That's a blueprint callable. So. Alright, well this is taking a little longer to compile than I thought, so I'm going to pause the video, and as soon as the editor is up, we will hop in and test out this take damage. Alright, so we are back in the editor here, so let's do a quick simulation. I'm going to hit play, fine. Continue, ignore, I've cover that in a second. I added some things in there. So I'm going to select our deer. Let's pause this quickly. Go deer, stat line, stats, health. We don't have a negative value. That's why we're adding that, I bet. So let's go to character, take damage. And I just want to see, because I'm pretty sure that is, no. What is not? Oh, I know exactly why. Because I'm special. In our animation blueprint, we never actually call the apply damage. What do we call that now? It is apply melee damage. Compile that. Now let's try this again. Okay, so the deer should stop. There we go. Okay, so we're passing in a positive value. We're adjusting it up. So we're going to address that. And also I'm going to cover what I had done between the build. Well, sorry, with getting into the editor. So I'm going to close out of the editor quickly here. So a way around this to guarantee you're applying a negative value is 0 minus abs, ABS, not abs, damage. So what absolute does is it takes a negative and makes it a positive, and if it's a positive, keeps it a positive. So if we pass in plus 25 as our damage, this is going to become a negative 25. If we pass in negative 25, this will still become negative 25. Now, the other thing I did while it was building is up here in the NPC character, I believe the issue we were having with that one is we were doing multiple binds. So what I've done here is I've just done, if it's not bound, bind it. If it is, move on. So let's see if that fixes that, because I noticed it through that build error of the this one here. So let's see if that gets hit again. And this time around I'm going to just let it run, but it should go through pretty quickly here. So as long as this works, there's one other thing I want to do, and I want to just basically cause the deer to fall over dead. And yeah, that, I believe that worked there. So all right, so now that we've got that, let's simulate. Hopefully our deer, let's continue. There's something that... Let's find its stat line, its health. You can see its health is going down. But it's never dropping down to... Well, maybe it is. I think we might need to add a health regen block, like a temporary health regen decay. Yeah, so... Okay, with that though, folks, we are at the 30-minute mark, so I am going to end the episode here. Next episode, there's a couple of things we want to do to clean it up. I want to add in a health regen block, because obviously it's regenerating faster than the wolf is damaging it. You can see that's never fully hitting 0, because obviously the is dead check isn't kicking off. Because we're getting 1 health per second on the deer. So I want to add that in. And then the other thing I want to do is within the animation blueprint, I want to add in the is dead play animation effect. So with that though, folks, as always, thank you for watching. If there's any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next episode.